So good afternoon, everyone, and yeah, thanks very much, Chrissy, for the nice introduction. So look, as mentioned, I'm the CEO of Solis Minerals. And I think, today, again, thank you for attending, but the three key things that I want to get across are, one, we're copper gold focused in South America. Two, we're a very active explorer. So, junior explorer at the moment, I guess pre-discovery, but we're very active. So drilling a project at the moment, we'll start drilling another project next month. And as Chrissy mentioned, we just purchased a project to fill the pipeline into Q2 2026. So extremely energetic and extremely active. And look, I think the last point as well, which was mentioned, is that we have the resources. So excellent team, excellent projects which we'll go through. And we just raised $5.9 million. So we've got the money. So look, as mentioned, the focus is copper and gold in South America, and specifically that's Peru at the moment. So we've got a very large land holding, about 60 to 70,000 hectares at the moment, which we trim and add to as need be. But at the moment, we're focusing on a project that we're drilling at the moment called Ilo Este. We'll go on to another project called Cinto next month. But again, overall, the theme is very active. And another point I want to mention is that with the portfolio, and this is by design, we choose projects which have a very quick pathway to market. So open pit targets, close to coast, close to infrastructure, not near communities, not near water bodies. We want resources which have a very, very clean pathway to market. The second point here, look, I think is very important when you're looking at a company and its management. So for me, look, I worked for Rio Tinto for 3 years in Peru. I've spent a lot of time working there and even beyond that date, including Argentina and Brazil. But every single member of the board and senior management team has worked in this area, either discovering projects, progressing projects through permitting and studies, and or exiting projects commercially or through partnerships. So a team that is very passionate about working in copper and gold and in this part of the world. And then from the last point on this slide is again, look, well-resourced, very tight shareholder base, and overall a very great structure for when we get that discovery. I think we can see our share price move. So again, just to really drum home the message that we are very, very active, and look, we've raised the money to fund this drilling program. We drilled 2 projects year to date, still on that second one, aim to start another one before the end of the year, and then we also have a very healthy pipeline going into 2026. So we want to give our shareholders as many opportunities as possible to get that large discovery in the copper and gold space. So macro, look, I won't do this to death, but we do have a very nice macro tailwind in that copper and gold are, trading at or near all-time highs, which to be a copper and gold explorer, it's a great time for us. So I guess, it's just on for us to now deliver, to find that discovery and really, I guess, ride this wave from a market perspective. Very just quickly on the corporate, so we just raised money. Some of this information, because we did a 2-tranche placement, is presented on a pro forma basis. So only about 250 million shares on issue, which is quite light, but 6 million in the bank. EV on a pro forma basis of about 8 million. So waiting for that big discovery, but I'll get to our experience in a few slides' time. But we know that when we get that discovery, we can really see, I guess, great shareholder returns, which is, what we're targeting. So quickly from a board and management team, as I mentioned, everybody on this board has experience having success with discovery, progressing projects and exits in South America. I think the one to reference most recently was I was the CFO of Latin Resources, Chris was the MD. I mean, that company was on a journey for about, I think, 14 to 15 years, but they had a greenfield discovery in Brazil, which was lithium, and they took that from greenfield discovery, and I was part of the team, to an exit which completed in February of this year for $600 million. And look, we're looking to do exactly the same, so same formula, but with copper and gold and in Peru. And look, we think we have the team to deliver it. Very small team, but very fit for purpose and really up for the challenge. And I think the other point to mention is that, this whole team, a lot of them are common to that Latin story, have been very successful. To be fully transparent, they probably don't have to work, but they're passionate about discovery, finding success, and especially in South America, because again, they've all got experience in that part of the world. So Peru. So look, hopefully some of you in this room have been to this fantastic country. As I mentioned, I was fortunate enough to live there for 3 years, but if we think that WA specifically is a mining country, Peru is like WA on steroids in that the whole country is copper focused. So as mentioned here, mining is nearly 10% of the GDP. it is 100% a mining country. Developing country from a country perspective, but its mining industry is incredibly mature. And if you look at the projects and operations that I've highlighted on this slide, I think you've got 3 of the top 10 producers in Las Bambas, Quellaveco and Tamina. All of the big mining companies are in this country because it's a great place to do mining business and it's full of great opportunities. So look, this is the project that we're drilling at the moment. So we've finished, we've got assays for 2 drill holes. We've released those to the market. They were consistent with historic drilling results, which I'll get to on the next slide. But we're penning assays now for another 2, and we're drilling our 5th hole. And speaking with the team early this morning, we're at about 330 metres of what looks like a 600-metre hole. So actively drilling and in areas that we find are quite interesting. But the point I want to make about this project is that we are chasing coincident anomalies, but really the overlay here for us is that we have a lot of historic geological and drilling information, which is incredibly interesting. So Rio Tinto drilled this in the 2000s, and then Latin Resources drilled it in the 2010s. We know we're sitting in a big system here, so our hypothesis is that it's a large, porphyric system. The objective of the current drilling program is to find the high-grade source. So that's exactly what we're doing. A few of our drill holes have gone down to 760 metres, so we're getting quite deep. We have seen some very interesting structures, including copper and gold, in assays that we've released to the market, and we're drilling at the moment. So I think we can see assays coming out in the next few weeks and definitely before Christmas, but this is a story that we're looking to, tell over the next month or 2 as we continue with the drilling program. And some rocks that I took, you can tell from my very corporate hands, but an immense amount of geochem at surface. So oxidised copper that we're seeing here, but the beauty of our projects, and again this is by design, is that we choose projects which have excellent geochem at surface, and that's a great shortcut to hopefully finding that big copper gold discovery which we're targeting. So Sinto, look, this is a project that I really wanted to focus on today because it's one that's imminent in terms of starting to drill. So we had a phone call late last night with the Peruvian government where we're pushing through the permitting process at the moment, and everything is looking good. So the plan at the moment is to be on the ground drilling before the end of the year. In terms of why this project's attractive is that hopefully you can make out in the image, but our project Sinto is in this kind of rectangular box in the bottom or southern part of the image. You can see 2 mines to the north, so Toquepala and Quellaveco. And Quellaveco is owned by Anglo American and Mitsubishi. You've got Toquepala, which is owned by Southern Copper out of Grupo Mexico out of Mexico, but absolute juggernauts of the copper space. So we've got the neurology, but I think most importantly, and why we picked up this land actually from BHP, is that the geochemistry and the rocks at surface look fantastic and highly similar to what we can see at Toquepala. And we think building into that hypothesis is that we share this Incapuccio fault. So you know that sometimes these structures, this faulting can lead to, a source of the copper system. We share this Incapuccio fault, which you can see on the slide kind of moving, top left to right. So we think we have very good structures here which can support, a potential large discovery. Supporting that, and this is in part of the build-up to drilling next month, and that's the plan, is that we release channel samples, all intersected copper, but you can see, you're getting 23 metres at 0.88% copper. That's fantastic to see, and a great guider to our drilling program, which, again, will kick off next month. Look, I was going to show a picture of IP, but I thought I would show rocks because I think sometimes they can maybe be a little bit more informative in terms of what the prize is that we're chasing. And what you can see here is a lot of oxidised copper at surface. But one thing that every guest that we take to Sinto and every member of the team is that the density and the concentration of that copper is particularly, I think, just very interesting. So again, this is a project which we think holds a lot of potential, and again, very keen to kick off drilling next month. So Cucho. So look, we're always in the market looking for new opportunities, either organically or inorganically. I actually started my career in mining career in Rio Tinto's M&A team in London, looking at this Andean copper belt, which is Peru and Chile principally. And so we're always in the market for finding projects where we think we can purchase them, apply capital, and give value to shareholders. And look, the main hypothesis for purchasing this asset, this was last month, was that it was really on strategy for us. So near the coast, good infrastructure, some very, very big mining companies exploring nearby, including FMG, who are drilling about 2 kilometres away from our concession holding. But I think the really, really interesting thing for us was that there was 2,000 metres of diamond drilling completed about 11 years ago in 2014. And quite uniquely for a copper project, every single drill hole in 2014 encountered significant mineralisation. And I'll go through the results on the next slide. But with that sort of start, which was fantastic, the reason why they couldn't drill further, 2014 was a very different macro environment for copper. And also there was a lack of consolidated concessions. So there were some concessions owned by Chinese counterparties up to that period. They were consolidated between 2022 and 2024. And now we're in a position where we've got, I guess, all the area that we want to explore. We can bring the capital. We just raised 6 mil. So I think this is an incredibly attractive project, and we'll go through, I guess, that appeal in the next few slides. So look, some of the drill holes here, look, I won't bore you too much before lunch, but you can see in this, the last hole here, COP 1407, which ended in mineralisation. And the point here is to say they drilled quite shallow for diamond drilling, so they got down to about 300 metres. But to get 270 metres at 0.25% copper, but many intercepts above 0.3, so 0.36, 0.36 in the 2 intercepts that we've included here as highlights. This is a very strong start, and most of this in oxide material, but also touching transitionary and sulfide material in the end of the hole. So it needs more drilling, and that's the role that we're going to play. We've raised the capital, and I'll talk to some targets in the next few slides. But before I get there, I think the analogy in terms of what we're chasing, I mean, everything that we do has to be done with the lens of we want to give value to shareholders. And so Kucho, the project that we have, is very much underexplored. We've got a project, Elida, which is about 40 kilometres to the east. If you can make it out, it's quite small. But they've got a resource of 320 million tonnes at 0.32% copper. So, large resource, modest grade by global standards, but their market cap as of this morning is 170 million Aussie. And so, look, the goalpost for us that we want to get to and exceed is reporting a resource somewhere in that realm in the next few years. And you can see that the market response, the TSXV listed, is very strong. So that's what we're looking to replicate with the drilling that we'll conduct in the next few years. Also, really want to highlight that you can see Fortescue just to the east of us, Vale, Newmont also in close proximity. So very hot area in terms of copper exploration. In terms of what we're targeting, look, I think the image on the right is probably a little bit easier to articulate. So most of the drilling has been done in this central kind of halo-ish type area. So you can maybe see the traces with the white lines. Again, every single drill hole intersected mineralisation. We want to step out drilling to the west, but also the northeast. So there've been no drill holes in this. Where it says high chargeability, we actually want to chase a mag low to the east of that, where you see the geochem. So again, we think very much underexplored. We've had a director on the ground there in the last few weeks. The team has spent a lot of time there, and I guess the conviction and the hypothesis has grown very strong. And I guess all we need to do now is just doing a drone mag survey, do the permitting, and get on the ground and drill. I also want to mention that there was a technical report completed to NI 43101 standards done 10 years ago by the original team that explored. And their main conclusion, was that the main geochemical and geophysical anomalies were left without verification by drilling. So again, that's what we're looking to target with the drilling program that we'll do in Q2 2026. Some nice rocks. So look, I mentioned at the start, we're extremely active. Look, we're here to move the needle, to find something, to replicate that success that we had with Latin Resources, and the pipeline that we have, we feel can deliver that. So drilling at the moment at Ilo Este, soon to be drilling at Cinto, hopefully before the end of the year. Kucho 2026, and then Canyon in the second half of next year, which I haven't spoken about, but again, a very attractive project. Just to round it out, I've got about 40 seconds left, is that, look, copper and gold, right thematic, right time for us with a very good portfolio of assets. Peru is a country of opportunity. Again, I've lived and spent a lot of time there. I know that with our capital and our experience, we can bring a lot of value. We've got great projects, and they'll lead to great news flow. The team, highly motivated to get that large discovery in the near term. And from a corporate perspective, I'm very grateful to new and existing shareholders for the recent capital raise, and we want to put that to work to get that big discovery. So thank you very much, and I'll hand back to Chrissy. Cheers.